1. This story happened on a summer night in Australia, when I was about 15. A quick bit of backstory. A guy I went to school with was a complete dick to my best friend Jake, and sometimes to me. He was pretty sneaky about it, and never got into trouble, and we could never prove anything, so, eventually, we got fed up and thought of a way to get back at him without getting into trouble. We decided to stockpile as many dead toads as we could find. They are an introduced species here and are a huge pest. In my dad's freezer, and then sneak up to his house and throw them all into his house at night. Then in the morning, he is going to wake up with dead, rotting toads all over the place. Really stupid and immature, I know. So one night we finally decide we have enough ammo. We get everything ready and ride up to his house, which was in a really hilly, annoying part of our suburb. But because of all the hills, it makes for an easy getaway on our bikes, so we persevere. We got to his house around 11:30 p.m. and sneak up and scatter the dead toads all over the place. But right as we are about to leave, Jake decides to throw a frozen toad at the house, and it went straight through a window with a loud smash. We jumped on our bikes and took off, absolutely flying down the windy roads in the dark. Eventually we got to a section of road where we had made a shortcut through some trees and bushes, leading to a bike track where people walk their dogs and ride their bikes. It's about 30 meters of fairly thick bush from the main road, with a 2-lane highway on the other side. It is pretty secluded, so we felt safe. We were sitting there on our bikes on top of a small hill leading down into the highway underpass, chatting and laughing in the dark, feeling pretty happy with ourselves. There were no lights, just moonlight and the occasional car headlights on the highway beside us. We started talking about what we should do for the rest of the night, when I could have sworn I heard something moving in the bushes about 10 to 15 meters away. As soon as we stop talking and listen, it stops, so we think nothing of it and keep chatting, but eventually I hear it again. Jake doesn't believe me and is calling me a pussy and laughing, but I can still hear it, and I'm visibly starting to freak out, which then freaks Jake out. We are sitting there in the dark on our bikes, looking into the darkness when a fucking huge man just stands up from behind some bushes, wearing nothing but some black tracksuit pants. This guy was huge. Had to be around 7 feet and 120 kilograms plus. He had a thick black mustache and long black hair and just started sprinting at us like nothing I had ever seen in my life. We took off, pedaling as fast as we could towards the underpass, and I could hear this guy's footsteps directly behind me. I don't know if it was the fear getting to me, and I was just hallucinating or something, but I could have sworn I could feel his hand swiping my back. His footsteps sounded easily close enough for him to grab me, so maybe he did almost get a hold of me. Luckily, my friend and I had been riding BMX for years because at the bottom of the hill you could either go through some metal barriers to stop motorbikes from riding on the path, and then immediately turn left into the tunnel under the highway, or get through the barriers and go up another hill. This massive human is still right behind me, growling and swearing at me as we go down this hill with Jake just ahead of me. We get through the metal barriers, and he turns left to go under the highway without saying a word, so I just grit my teeth, go straight, and power up the hill as fast as I can. I'm almost in tears, praying to anyone or anything that would listen, when I realize I don't hear him behind me anymore. I look back down the hill towards the tunnel, and I see him just standing there staring at me. I will never forget it. We both stared at each other for a few seconds, and all of a sudden he just sprints off into the tunnel. I was so scared because I had no idea where my friend was, or if this guy had caught him, since this all happened before every person had a mobile phone, and I had no way to contact my friend. I rode as fast as I could to a service station where I thought he might end up, since the tunnel under the highway kind of leads that way, and sure enough, there he was. We were shaking and freaking out, trying to figure out who the fuck that guy was. Because we both knew the guy we were getting revenge on, and what his dad looked like, and it was nothing like that monster of a man who had just chased us in the dark. Still to this day, I have no idea who that dude was, and I've never seen him ever again, but I am so fucking glad he never caught either of us. I still wonder what would have happened if he had caught us. 2. This happened last night, more exactly early this morning. I do not scare easily. I love the macabre, anything horror, scary movies, etc. However, the one thing that does scare me is your everyday psychos and crazies. I'm a child of the 90s. I was raised on unsolved mysteries and America's Most Wanted. Till this day, both John Walsh's and Robert Stack's voices give me the chills. But I digress. I'm 37. I'm a female, married. I live in suburbia. Literally nothing ever happens here. Last night I was suffering from the worst case of insomnia. I knew that I needed to get fresh air. I toyed with walking the pup, a white GSD, but he was passed out next to my hubby. I decided to ride my bike. I let my hubby know I was going to take a quick bike ride. He was pretty out of it and just mumbled, and I left. I own a Zip electric bicycle, which is an important fact, as you will soon see. So I set off. Decided to just ride around my neighborhood and the next few blocks. So I live in a section of my small town known as Mormonville. It's not meant as a derogatory form, just a statement as everyone who resides in that neighborhood is a Mormon, or affiliated with the church. I live just outside of Mormonville, in a tract of newer houses. I weaved my way through the empty streets. I sometimes listened to music, but because it was dark and I needed my wits about me, I didn't, which probably saved me. I overhear a squeaking, squelching sound and immediately recognize it as the brakes of another bike, not too far behind me. I turn around and see a figure on a BMX bike. They're dressed in a blue hoodie and jeans. They're just standing there staring. Unnerved now, I started pedaling, heading for my neighborhood. I hear the noise start up, and I quickly turn. This person is following close behind me. I do not want them following me home. Knowing where I live, I decide I will shake them off and then get home. So I take a turn, pumping the pedals as I head into another subdivision. This person is very close. I turn and they're maybe a foot away. I turn my electric bike on throttle, which is pretty much it's like having an electric scooter. With throttle, I can go pretty fast. I'm panicking, imagining what this person wants with me. I book it and turn down another street. I hear a noise behind me, recognizing it as the sound of crashing trash cans. Then I hear the person is cursing. I know this is my chance to get away, so I book it down the street, only to freaking realize I'm in a cul-de-sac. I turn around. No sign of the BMX. I take in deep gulps of air. I'm shaking with the adrenaline coursing through my veins. I dial 911 with trembling hands, hoping the Keystone cops at Police Art Street will actually take me seriously. Our police force is a joke. I hear the squeaking and quickly look where I can hide when the dispatcher picks up. I explain the situation to her. She tells me a squad car is about 15 minutes out. I'm frustrated. She really isn't taking me seriously. I'm scared, and about this time I have to pee really bad. I look around and realize I'm in a brand new development. All new model homes, so no houses I can pound on the door to let me in. I see one model that has a porch, so I figure I can maybe hide in there. I tell the dispatcher, who is carrying on a conversation with someone in the background. She agrees it's a good idea, and so I push my bike in there and crouch down. I hear the squeaking start up and get closer. A minute or two go by, and I, from my position, peer into the night. I see the rider pull up and get off his bike. I can definitely see it's a man. He has his hoodie off and he's looking around as if he's lost. But I just knew he was looking for me. I'm texting my husband while I'm still on with the dispatcher. Of course, my hubby is out cold. He often takes ZZ Quill to sleep. And just my luck, he took it last night. The dispatcher tells me the cops are a minute away, and I'm feeling a lot better knowing help is almost there. Then my bike falls over. The electric bikes are freaking heavy. So it wasn't a little bang, it was loud. I saw the guy drop his bike and look in my direction. I'm literally shitting myself and promising to God, Buddha, the devil himself, that I'll never ride my damn bicycle at night ever again. Thankfully, the patrol car's light flashed, and the driver grabbed his bike and drove off. The cops pulled up. One cop got out and yelled for the guy to stop, and then took off after him. I ran out and let the other cop know I was okay. Of course, they couldn't catch up with him. However, after my description, they speculated it was most likely a guy going around stealing things out of cars. He probably saw my expensive bike and decided he wanted it. They helped me get my bike off the porch and then watched as I took off. They even followed me to my house to make sure I got in okay. Of course, I was unable to sleep at all. And when hubby got up to go to work, he made me promise I would never go riding alone at night, like I ever intend to. So, BMX thief, let's never meet again. 3. This story takes place in 2001. I was a French 11-year-old girl, walking home after a long day of school and sport practice. I was in CZM, which is probably the first year of middle school in the US. I never really understood the differences, but yeah, that must be it. And doing gymnastic after school 2 times a week. It was one of those winter nights, probably in November, because I remember I was waiting for winter break with much eagerness, and around 6:30 to 7 p.m, so the dark was coming in really fast. So here I was, exhausted with gym practice and, with the big day of school before that, walking home, minding my own business. Remember that it was 2001. Cell phones were rare for adults, even more so for kids. I think maybe 2 of my classmates had one, and at this time it was a big fuss. Remember the unbreakable Nokia? That was probably it. Obviously I didn't have one, nor a beeper, or anything to call for help immediately. I hadn't an MP3 player either. This was my gift for Christmas this year, so not long later. So no way to cut myself out of the world during my home walk. No way in hell for a well-behaved girl like me to disobey an adult who was giving an order either. So when this man called me, I immediately turned myself towards him. Without giving the chance of speaking, he started talking, for what seemed to me like a long time. Basically, he told me that he was lost, after I thought that in a small rural town that was very odd. That some friend of his waited for him in front of the church, and the church was far away and he was late. What was the fastest way he could go to the church, and so on. I don't remember precisely what he was saying, but I bloody remember 3 things. First, he was little, about my height, and fat. So at first I wasn't scared. I thought he was around 20 years old, but when he approached me, I saw that he was probably in his 30s, maybe even older. Second, he talked a lot. For someone who was calling for help, I mean, just an "excuse me, can you tell me how to go to the church, please?" was enough in that case. So I wasn't scared, but something seemed off. My mum told me a long time ago, internal alarm was never wrong, even if it was in front of an adult, and I had to trust my gut in any case, and basically run the fuck away from anyone who seemed suspicious to me. My words, not hers. So I thought it was odd. But at first it wasn't so suspicious. Okay, he's lost, poor man, seems weird. Nothing more. But third, I was exhausted, hungry, and wanted to go home ASAP. So I did something I think is pretty stupid now, but I thought was a brilliant idea back then. I faked a crappy English accent. Again, I'm French. Tell him something like, "De l'aussi pas pour voir, adieu mon pas français depuis longtemps," aka, "Sorry, me cannot help you and me not in France for long." And try to get away from him. Please don't judge me. I was young. I was tired. I was a little bit pissed off. And that's when my gut starts to tell me that something is very, very wrong with this man. He was lost and he was in a hurry. And he starts to talk to me about France like we are making conversation like, "Oh, and do you like it here? Where do you come from? Where do you live now? How old are you? Oh, so you go to, my town's name, school. Is Miss Chem teacher nice with you? And do you do sports or gymnastic? That's why you are so pretty. I knew it. You have the body for it." And so on. Wait, he's not from here. And he knows my school. And a teacher at that school. Not mine, but still. Today I know that a 30-year-old man telling an 11-year-old schoolgirl your body is pretty is fucked up. But I was here, lying about me when I answered to him, feeling guilty about it but not enough to tell him to leave me, and trying to answer him with as few words as possible. Faking an accent as an 11-year-old is a hard thing, I tell you. After a while he takes my arm and asks me to come with me. You'll show me the church, and we can talk more here. I really like you, you know. I freeze, my guts are screaming, "Get the fuck out of here. Go home, red code. Not safe, not safe, not safe." But my mind is screaming even harder. You lied to him. You're in trouble now, and that's your fault. Stupid you. Try to go home without being impolite. That's so rude. Oh my God. So I do what any 11-year-old would do, I guess. I said, always in this crappy accent, "Sorry, Mum, wait for me and must be home now." Try to get away from his grip. And fail. So at first I was annoyed. When he was talking I was disturbed. Now I'm scared. I remember clearly that I thought, I'm in danger for real. That's not a game. That's for real. And he tries to kiss me. I can't really thank him for that. And that's when I had the real living proof that I was right about him. That something was very, very wrong with this man. And that I had the right to go away without being impolite. Because going away as fast as I can was probably the best way to go home safe in the first place. I pushed him, hard enough for him to let me go. Not fast enough for him to start trying to French kiss me. He let me go. I wiped my lips with my hand, and I mumble stuff like, "Sorry, must go." Then I ran the fuck away from him, like I should have done in the first place. And that's the end of the story. I went home a little bit late, but not enough for my parents to start worrying about me. They saw me running down the alley, enter home like the devil was behind me, which was maybe the case. They asked me if I was alright, and I said yes. I showered, ate, went to sleep, returned to school the day after, and to practice after that. I was scared to go home alone first, so I managed to get some rides back by some friends' parents. Sometimes I had to walk, and I was scared, but I never saw him again after that, so the fears slowly disappeared. I know bloody well why I didn't talk to my parents that night or after. I was feeling guilty and stupid because of the English accent, because I answered him, because I must have done something wrong during this encounter. Today I know it wasn't my fault, but I was a child, you know? I heard years after by my former gymnastic teacher, who became a dear friend, that she thought she was going to have a new pupil that year. A father came to her during 2001's winter after a practice, talking to her about his daughter, who lived in England with his mother. and who was living with him now, and was going to my town school. He also asked her if his daughter had already attended a practice, because she told him so. She answered him that he must have made a mistake, that no English girl ever came to this practice, but that she would be happy to welcome her into this class, and started talking to him about Schedul's price. He cut her off, said okay, I'll let you know, and she never saw or heard from him again after that. She remembered him because of the English thing, and mostly because she rarely talked with her pupils' dads, mostly their mums. I don't know for sure it was him, because I didn't ask more of it, but in my opinion that's too much to be a coincidence. If it was him, maybe the day after, and he was looking for me. Big chills when I heard that, but it was like 10 years after, so what could I do? Nothing, that's it. Except being even more frightened and pissed off by this creep. I don't know what would have happened if I didn't push him back, or if I hadn't faked that crappy accent. And frankly, I don't really want to know. Fat man who tries to kiss preteen girl and God knows what else. Let's not meet again. Ever. Hey everyone, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 195. Thank you very much to everyone who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Also apologies to those people I've kept waiting for a while before I used them. Just a reminder, if you have any questions you'd like to ask, please leave them in the comments below, and I'll take screen caps of them and add them to my next Q&A whenever I happen to have time to put that together. You know, I've got to say, the bad French in the last story there was quite fun for me to read, because it was the first time I didn't have to pause the story and then go and look up how to pronounce the words, because I usually try and get things as accurate as I can. I'm not always fully successful, but I always do try at least. But this time was fun for me, because it was meant to be bad, and by God did I make it bad. Okay, and with that I think I'm going to head off for now. So, until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.